Hi, I'm Deb.
And I'm Brian.
Welcome to
Life in Guatemala.
Today we have a special guest. One of our subscribers, Clinton, is here visiting Guatemala with his friend Luis, who is Guatemalan but lives in the United States. And I asked him if he wanted to come visit and ask questions about maybe retiring here. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I asked, can we just video this session and put it out as one of our videos? And maybe you have some of the same questions and you'll get some answers through this. So we're just going to have general conversation, and then I'm going to share this video with all of you. All right. So first of all, you've been here before, though.
This is my third time to Guatemala. Probably, I think it's third time
Third time.
to Xela.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Did you spend very much time here in Xela?
A couple days.
Couple days.
Yeah.
And so you've been to Escuintla, which is in the south, very hot.
That's where Luis is
from.
from.
And the city.
Yes.
So you've been the coast and the city and Xela.
Yes.
So you've visited a variety of climates.
Yeah. First the 80s down in San Jose, then the 70s in Guatemala City, now in the 60s, Xela.
All right. So what are you looking at for your preference for your retirement? Do you have an idea?
I like cooler weather.
Yeah, we do too. So that's why we're here. And I had mentioned to you the other day, but you said you already had a little bit of a cough before you moved down here.
Yes.
Because some people do find, because we have an active volcano just outside of town, so there a lot of ash sometimes gets in the air.
Yeah, sometimes you'll walk outside if it's been extremely active and the wind is blowing from the volcano this way, there's a coating of volcanic ash
And that
on
doesn't
the cars.
happen very often, but
Yeah,
we've seen it
I would
before.
say once a year, once every couple of years. But
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
happens, it's
Yeah, that's something new. I've never experienced that. That didn't happen.
That
when we were
happened
here.
while I was in the States. That you saw
Yeah.
that. I didn't.
well, I've seen it once since we've lived here in Xela, and there was once when Pacaya was going.
Oh.
That's when I was supposed to be flying to the United States, and they canceled
all the flights out of
almost
the
every
airport.
flight for some
Almost
airlines.
24 hours.
Some airlines continued their service. Some were off for a day, and some, like Spirit, was off for like a week or 2
Right.
weeks. They weren't flying.
And that's
So,
to fly to Guatemala City?
That's flying anything out of Guatemala City.
well, because
Pacaya is down.
Pacaya
outside
is
the
down
city.
by the
Oh,
city.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it was, and for what it was, a major eruption,
Right.
and the way the wind was blowing,
And
right?
it covered
and
the runways and a lot of the
Yeah,
planes,
yeah.
and so they had
heck,
to do a
we
lot
were
of
staying
cleanup.
at the one of the hostels that we stayed at down there, and just like I was saying, every car that had been parked outside for more than 4 or 5 hours had a little film of gray volcanic ash on top
The
of
three
it.
the most active is Fuego outside of Antigua.
Well, I thought Santiaguito is considered the most
It-
active now.
It just
even
doesn't
though,
have as much lava. It has more ash than
and it's
lava.
a lot smaller.
And it's
right.
Yeah, I think it's kind of as a matter of fact, we're Saturday morning, we're leaving at 5 a.m. to climb up the Mirador to Santiaguito to see the active volcano with the girls.
Which volcano is close to?
Santiaguito,
Is
which
it-
is an offshoot from a previous years ago eruption in the 1920s from Santa Maria, which is the big one you see.
Okay.
They say Santa Maria is not active anymore because the last eruption was 1929. It's not dead, it's dormant. But Santiaguito kind of was birthed from the eruption out of
Yeah,
Santa Maria.
from us, it's on the backside of Santa Maria.
We can see
Okay.
it from here. If you
So
look
is that-
out,
you guys cut it real cut
Yeah,
close?
so
Yeah.
if you look out here, you see Santa Maria, and then a lot of times you'll see a
The smoke
cloud
right from
behind
behind
it.
And that's the one.
Most
Right.
likely that's some
Santiaguito
ash or the
shooting
smoke
off
coming
something.
from.
Yeah.
And when they erupt, my family, my sister and my mom, they live close to both volcanoes, Pacaya and Fuego.
Yeah, when we
And-
took the southern route home, we saw
Yeah,
both.
and and like when they erupt, especially Pacaya, it throws a lot of ash, and it blankets everything that around. Like people who live in snow, it's like the same effect. Cars
Uh-huh.
covered with snow in the U.S. here covered with ash.
Right. Now, the only way to get away from the volcanic ash at all, I guess, would be if you lived over on the Caribbean side. and Pitan and the jungle side and all that. That's
Well, I
way
don't know.
that's
What
hotter
about-
than the coast.
What about at the lake?
No.
If you were at the lake, there's not an active volcano
Yeah,
right
they're all
there,
dead
right?
or dormant at the lake, so you probably don't get much.
I mean, if you like that kind of living, and we like visiting there.
But you don't get the weather that you do here.
Right.
What was the lake we went across to see the little Mayan towns? But there was like 2 volcanoes right there.
That was Lake Atitlan.
Lake
Yeah.
Atitlán, yeah.
But those are dormant
Oh,
volcanoes.
okay,
Or
okay.
so,
Yeah. Well, that's
actually,
the
there's-
picture of it right there.
yeah,
Yes.
there's 3 volcanoes there.
Yeah, there's Atitlán and
I have no idea what they're called.
I can't remember.
I
all
have
the
no
names.
idea what they're called, but there's 3 dormant volcanoes there, so it's a little bit warmer than here, right?
Yeah, there's more bugs. That's
3,
one
4,
of my favorite
5.
things about living here. One of my favorite things about this climate, I think you might see 1 or 2 mosquitoes a year.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. And the overall bugginess is minor. I mean, there's seasons, like when it's heavy rain, I find these little guys crawling and I have to
Yeah,
get them
there's
out.
little tiny black beetles that we see.
Or there's they remind me in the States of something called a June bug, and it usually happens more like May here and there. It's like, it's like
Yeah.
a swarm of them for 2
Like
weeks.
a
or
week or
something.
2, right?
Yes.
then
And
they're
there'll be a
gone.
lot of them, and then they all go away.
They start in May here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were on the coast. I got the spray. I'm sprayed. Doesn't matter. I still got bites.
I do too. If
Yeah.
I go south, if I go to the lake for too long or the coast, I get the same thing.
I don't know if it's because I'm O negative. I don't know. They love me.
Well, I've decided they just love me, and my whole life I've been the one in the house that gets eaten. If everybody stands around me, they don't have to worry.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
My sister got her first bite. I think she was 52.
Oh no.
I've had 72 bites a year. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, how many years before you're thinking about your move?
Well, here's the situation. I'll be 61 in February.
Okay.
Now, the minimum age for Social Security is 62.
Yep.
And I do have a pension, and they would like 30 years and 60,000 hours. So I got in at 35, so that'll be 65, but I have to talk to them. And I got to figure out my finances because I bought something extremely expensive, especially in California. It's one of the most expensive things you could ever buy. I got to pay every month for alimony.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 years ago I did that. And they want me to pay until I'm dead.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and then she's gonna cut into my pension. She's gonna cut into,
Mhm.
so I have to figure everything out.
Well,
To get
I
the money
understand that because before we moved, that was, Brian said to me, let's do the math. And
Yeah.
because he didn't have enough combined years and hours to get full pension either.
Well, it's the same situation.
Yeah.
There's rules about you need to work so many years or be of a certain age.
Yes.
Or they also had a point thing where it's a combination of how many years you had on the job plus your age. And if it added up to this, then you could get a full pension. I didn't meet any of those things. So I
we
basically,
have a tiny little.
It depends on how much you contribute into your pension too.
Well, that's
Yeah,
his
well-
401k, and we have that.
yeah.
So.
Mine was, I was fortunate that when I hired in, they still had, it was a common thing for big corporations to have pensions for their
Right.
people.
You just
So
go
I
away.
after 5 years or whatever the timing was, I'm vested in the pension. So I definitely got that. But
Well, let's talk more about Guatemala since we're going to put this video out for everybody.
okay.
Okay, so what are some of your questions? Because I know you came armed with questions.
Yeah,
plenty.
I've got only maybe 20 something questions.
Okay. Well, and those will lead to more if I know that.
Okay.
and I have answered as many as I can with him, but he,
A different
you have
point of view
exactly.
here,
But
yeah.
you guys, born and raised there, came
Right.
here, transfer the rest of your life into retiring in Guatemala.
Right.
So nobody can answer the question. Even me being from Guatemala, nobody can answer the questions like you can because you lived it, you experienced it, you're
And
living
even
proof.
ours are going to be different. Our friend Scott, who Clinton
Right.
found us from his
Yes.
videos,
Uh-huh.
he couldn't be here today because he's got English classes that he's
Mhm,
teaching
mhm.
online. but his retirement looks different than ours.
Exactly.
Right, I think you said that on your videos, you qualified, like investments.
Well, yeah, we have, it's called a rentista visa
Rentista.
is what we got.
That's the video.
And-
That's
and
the visa we have.
Yeah,
Video.
from the,
That's the
and
visa
the
we have.
reason you have to prove a certain amount of income coming into Guatemala from outside
Right.
sources. It's not money earned here.
Right.
And at the time, neither of us were collecting Social Security because we weren't old enough. All we got was his tiny little pension, and that wasn't enough to cover the
We didn't even have that
We didn't have
initially.
that yet
Yeah.
initially, no.
Our initial application for the visa was totally based off of this
Investment income, mostly from the sale of our house. And because it was only at the time, I think $1,000 per couple, $1,000 US, which isn't that
per
much
month.
per month. And I think it's up to 12 or 1,300 now. I don't know. I don't keep up on it because our lawyer said, what you got is what you have. So we have not had to prove additional income up to this point.
Okay, so you just have to prove it before you come in.
And well, every 5 years now, it used to be annually. We used to file annually and had to get another proof of income letter.
Okay.
The amount just didn't change for us.
Oh,
Okay, but now the latest, which could change, laws here change in a hot minute, depending on who's in charge of what, or who decides something says something different. So I'm always ready. But we're at a point now where they say we only have to prove income and do the whole gamut every 5 years now. Every year, we still pay a $40 residency tax.
okay.
That's required, even though I've heard people that don't pay it, but once they ever have to,
Per person?
per person. But $40, no big deal.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna travel outside of Guatemala, in order to get the constancia that they may or may not ask for at the airport, all that is, in my mind, I interpret that as proof that I paid my residency tax and it cost me another $30. So really it's $70 per person.
Validation. Of
Validation.
the payment.
And you have to have it in case, because they can ask going or returning if you're a resident, not if you're on a tourist visa, they don't ask for this, but as a full-time resident, regardless of what kind of residency you have, they want you to show proof of this constancia, which, like I said, it's a paper that says you're a resident. It has the date that you paid your residency fee, which was the $40. But to get the constancia, you have to pay $30. So really, it's like paying $70. And I've learned the hard way, because they love to stamp everything however many times. And in the States, you make copies of everything. You have copies. I make copies here too, but when I sent him to the airport the first time they asked for his constancia, I had given him a copy. Bad idea. They wanted the original.
Yes.
They wanted the original.
They want to see the seal.
And yeah, and so now they don't even do the seal. Now they send it by QR code and you print out a copy anyway.
Oh,
So they're evolving and changing, and it's not something that you get asked for every single time you leave or every single time you get back.
but
And
you should have it.
it's, so we keep a copy in our passport book.
Well,
And we
so here's the thing, and I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. There's a number of people who are basically living here on a tourist visa. The thing is, every
90 days.
90 days, they have to get that visa renewed.
I think Scott's situation's like that.
It
Oh, I
could
don't
be.
know.
I really don't know. I know some people, and these are people from all around the world, not just U.S. citizens or whatever, but all around the world. They live here on a tourist visa. So every 90 days, they either leave the country, drive to Mexico, or they actively leave. They go
Oh,
back
wow.
to the United States or England or wherever they're
Yeah.
from, go back there for a short visit. Some people go into Mexico, they go for a day, a couple days, whatever, and then they come back and then they get a new stamp, a new 90 days. And you can renew that one time at migration in the city. So
Oh,
in effect, they don't have to leave just twice a year now. So 3 months, they get it renewed in the city, and then
Right.
the next 3 months they leave and then
Right.
come back. That works for a lot of people, especially you have friends, family, whatever. You go back and visit. Whatever.
We knew when we came down here because we've been visiting for like 8 or 9 years every year before we ever moved. we knew we were going to be residents, and so
And I knew I did not want to go because
He
we've
doesn't
had
like
some
to do-
friends and they moved to San Marcos, San Pedro, which is about an hour and a half from the Mexican border. And they just knew every 3 months we go to Mexico for a short visit,
Right.
then come back.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to do that
Right.
every three. I didn't want to have to be on that schedule.
so something
You know,
that
so,
I did was in
Hey,
advance.
we want to get a residency.
Yeah, I contacted an immigration lawyer while we were still living in the States.
Yeah, that was my question. While you're in the States, did you ever seek out a U.S. embassy or Guatemalan embassy for any help?
And I didn't have to.
Okay.
I got all my questions answered in a couple of places, a couple of Facebook pages. If you get the right, you always get the snotty people on a Facebook page. I don't care who
Yeah.
you know, you just got to learn to ignore them, but there's always some helpful people. And I got a name of at the time, she was one of the more requested immigration lawyers. I think she's since retired. I don't see her name pop up too much anymore. And I sent her direct email and was able to call her via WhatsApp as needed. And she spoke some English. And she gave me a full list. I told her the date we were moving, a full list of everything I would need coming from the United States and how I would need it. Like, I had never even heard of what was an apostille at the time.
Yeah.
And so everything had to be both notarized and apostille. It's like, okay, what the heck's an apostille?
Okay.
And so I was able to get all that done. So we had our paperwork all in order and correct before we arrived in Guatemala.
Right. That's what I want to do. That's what I learned
Yeah.
from your page.
And so when we sent it in mid-October, we ended up having to go to the city, and we probably said this in the video because my name was incorrect or different in two different documents. But because we were in San Marcos, we were looking 6.5 hours to get to the city. So we didn't want to drive back and forth to sign things all the time.
Yeah.
But by February, so in less than 6 months, we had approved full-time residency. And so it was, for us, having done it in advance, It was beneficial. If you don't know when you're coming down here, I can understand the people that didn't realize until they were there. And now they're scrambling. How do I get this done? How do I get that done?
Well, some of that
Yeah.
stuff is you need to get, at the time anyways, a fingerprint thing, FBI or police certified or whatever. It was extremely hard to get that here. So how, traveling back and forth to try and get these documents. So for us, it made a lot of sense, and it worked perfectly to contact the lawyer. She told us what was necessary at that time.
Right.
Which changes.
Yeah, because you can't just go on the Facebook group and say, well, 7 years ago this was the process, and then you show up with these documents and they're like, no, this stuff is, you need something else, or you need something more. So,
and our Spanish for either of us, especially at the time, was not good enough to, because you'll see there's always someone that says, you don't need a lawyer, you can do this yourself.
You can do it all yourself.
And you know what? That's probably very true. And even if we spoke,
it is true.
Even if we spoke very good Spanish, the benefit to me of not having to do it is worth paying the lawyer.
Yeah, I mean,
Done right.
Yes.
I get a lawyer.
and the couple of times we went down there, going to immigration is really like a half-day thing. No matter what you need, we needed to go down and she needed to sign some paperwork to state that, yes, she was the same person.
Deborah L. Tang and Deborah Lee Tang are the same person.
That was basically 4 hours in migration, waiting in a line until somebody calls you up to sign the stuff, and then waiting to verify it for another 10 minutes, half hour, whatever it was.
There's no appointment
before you can.
It doesn't matter.
I think
no, it's first come, first serve.
Yeah, and
they sent somebody to wait in line.
Yeah, that
for
was
us.
the other benefit of having the lawyer, is she sent one of her assistants there in the morning, so that by the time we got to her office, she said, well, you can go there and look for whatever the person's name is, and they're holding your spot.
Wow.
And then we went there, and we still had to wait like an hour or so until we got up there, and then they were there to help, because once again, our Spanish is más o menos.
Mine's worse.
So
anyway, so that answers that question for your immigration. It's a choice, but once you know you're doing it,
Right.
it's a good idea, in my opinion, find out what's needed right now.
Well, and here's the other thing is I'm kind of a rule follower, so to speak. So if I'm going to think I'm living here, which we are, we live here, we visit the United States.
Right.
I don't want to come here and, this is the easy way to get around the rule, right?
Well, wouldn't that make me a little bit of a hypocrite if I have a problem with people entering illegally and staying in the U.S. illegally instead of doing it the legal way?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it,
Yeah,
and I don't want to get into a political, this is not what this is about, but there's
just an
nothing-
example.
Yeah. So,
How do you feel about security here? I mean,
just like any city, in my opinion, if you want to find crime, you're going to find crime. If you want to find drugs, you're going to find drugs. We personally don't go to the bars. We aren't out late at night, especially alone, for me as a woman, but locally in this area, I walk all over by myself without, especially in the daytime, all the time. I mean, I walk all over 5-10 kilometers a day sometimes, just in various places. I have never had an issue personally. I have heard of crime problems. Our girls go out after dark into the next neighborhood here, Tregales, to go get tortillas for their dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think, in especially some areas here, I mean, the people who live there, they don't want the crime either. There's some signs like in Tregales, I think there's still the signs up there, but it's like,
a neighborhood watch.
yeah, like a
Oh, okay.
neighborhood watch. And basically, hey, we're going to,
And
Take
they
care
believe
of,
in immediate justice.
yeah, we may put immediate justice on if we catch somebody stealing or
Right.
whatever.
in case you had a problem, how would you get help?
You mean like a crime problem or
An ambulance or police?
the ambulance? I can answer. We both, because I've had the ambulance in this house for me when I almost cut off my finger, and also I fell and had stitches put in. We buy a service that costs us a whopping $30 US a month, the equivalent of $30 US a month, and it covers anybody that's in our house living. And right now, you guys are visiting. If something happened to you, I could call the ambulance. They would come take you. They come here. It's a mobile ER. There's a doctor and a paramedic on every ambulance. And they have and then they give shots here in the house. She stitched me up right here. It was part of the service. I didn't have to go to the hospital. If you need to go, they'll take you to the hospital of choice.
Now, so that's what we have. We do know of people like Terry. He got very sick here at one point early on when he was living here. And he also called. Somebody must have called for him. I don't know how he did this. But, I mean, there's a couple different ambulance services here. Plus, they have the
Municipal one.
yeah. It tends to be the firemen or whatever.
Voluntario Bomberos.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they come and get you. And he went to the public hospital and he got treated there. Since then, he's decided I don't really want to go back there. And I visited somebody in the public hospital, and I do agree. I understand they give very good care there.
Depending on the doctor who's on service at the time.
Whatever. I've heard, just a blanket, you get good care there. The issue might be they might not have all the latest and greatest
And it would be
stuff.
maybe a huge line.
And
Yes.
there
can be. We've seen the line outside the ER, especially.
One of the things that I told Clinton, in my experience being from Guatemala, and my mom was a nurse for many years. I grew up in a pharmacy also. Is that here, if you really plan it when you get of a retirement age, you can go to like a med school, or there's med schools here in Xela, and you can talk to people. You can kind of talk to somebody who's a student about to graduate as a doctor, and if you can pay them a certain amount, they can come and check up on you every day, because that would be extra cash for them.
Right.
Now, without having a private doctor, I mean, that would be the way, because, and I know people in Guatemala City who, like if you pay like a medical student or even a nurse
Right.
as a part-time, if you need to get a
And they
shot,
come to your house.
exactly.
Yeah.
If you need to get a shot or you need somebody to come and check your
Blood
vitals,
pressure,
or I mean, I'm talking about when you get older. I don't think that you're gonna pay more. I mean, in the worst case scenario, I don't think you're gonna pay more than $300, $500 to somebody a month. Of course, less than that, and somebody can come and check up on you.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so much,
Yeah.
so many things you can do, and we do have private health insurance here in Guatemala that we buy for ourselves for major medical.
And that's what I gotta check because I qualify for lifetime medical in the US.
Mhm.
I gotta find out from them, because I plan on getting private insurance here, and what can I send back and still get compensated
Right,
from them?
Reimbursed.
Yeah.
Reimbursed.
Oh, my wife is getting surgery next Wednesday. As a matter of fact, she's getting surgery, and it's going to cost us $5,500 for her surgery
Here in Guatemala.
here in Guatemala City. Yes,
That's about what my
Mhm.
surgery is, because I
Yeah.
had wrist surgery.
yeah,
for this.
$5,500, and I spoke with our insurance, the same that we have yesterday. I spoke to them and I said, "Look, my wife needs to get surgery on Wednesday, blah blah blah," and they said, "All we need from you guys is an itemized bill of everything having related to
Right.
the surgery, and then when you come here, you submit those documents. You can do it online. Submit everything online, and you'll get
That's
reimbursed."
nice.
Yeah,
That's
and
nice.
and figure, and he told me, "Look, they have a something, I don't know the exact words, I don't remember, but basically he was saying our insurance company has like a set amount, and then they give you half of that." And I was even joking with him. I said, probably the surgery that my wife is having probably is going to cost $100,000 in the US. So I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
so it's going to be, so you guys are going to give us $50,000. So don't worry about the money, just give me the $50,000.
Yeah.
But I talked to them yesterday, as a matter
Okay.
of fact, because yesterday I went to pick up my wife from the doctor. And that's what they do.
Nice.
They'll
Very nice.
reimburse us for,
That is good, and I know this, that all this stuff is insurance dependent. What insurance you have or whatever in the United States, because there's some that don't cover
oh yeah.
anything. And to my knowledge, if you're on Medicare in the USA,
Medicare
that
does
is-
not pay for anything down here.
that doesn't cover. I mean, in
Yeah.
Medicare, you have to go to the USA
Yeah.
to a doctor or hospital or clinic to use Medicare. You
Right.
can't.
And how much you guys pay for insurance here local?
It's $100
$135 US would be the equivalent. It's 1,055 quetzales
Yeah, and it just
A
went
month?
up.
a month, and that
Yeah.
covers both of
It
us.
was
and we're
900
both-
and something last year. We
the
paid
first
a
year was
month.
$850, then it went up to like $965.
And some of it, I mean, just like in the USA, the older you get, the more they charge, because the
Yeah,
more
exactly.
Plus, I've
likelihood,
had 2 major surgeries,
Yeah,
and I'm sure they
the
don't
more
like that
likely
either.
you're going to be using the stuff.
But
so,
I mean, $135 for both of you a
yeah,
month?
it's nothing.
We were
It's
paying
nothing.
in the States because we were keeping U.S. insurance also for when we visited, and because I was on some prescriptions and the
Mhm.
cost of it. And it was costing us almost $300 a month last year for the two of us. And that was with a $9,000 deductible.
For the cheapest
Oh,
and that
option
was
we
the
could
cheapest
find
option we
that
could get.
actually was used, because we found some cheap options, and then we talked to people and they said, don't get that because nobody accepts that.
And
So
I started
you
calling
have
around looking
insurance,
for a
but
doctor.
you can't use it.
I started calling around looking for doctors. Do you accept this? Nobody in our county that I could
Oh.
find accepted that. So we had to switch to this other. So this year, we're going back next month for a couple weeks to spend some time with my parents who are having some health problems. But other than that, we're not going to be there all year. So I didn't buy insurance. in the
Yeah, of
States.
course.
Right.
And so anyway, let's move on. So we're going to have a 2-hour video here.
I don't think there's AAA here.
No, but there is car insurance.
Right, but how do you get a tow truck if you break down?
Well, that might be difficult. I don't see very many.
I would say, for me, if I was in a vehicle that I thought was going to be breaking down, and that's one of the things why we bought a new vehicle, is I don't want to have those issues, because we've lived those multiple times. But if I thought I was going to need it, I would just get the name of a local tow truck guy of where you're going to want your car fixed at.
But your insurance does cover if you're out, like on the highway or something, a flat tire, they'll come repair your tire.
Okay, that's what our insurance
That's
covers.
what our insurance covers. And our insurance also covers if you run out of gas, they'll bring you a gas can wherever you are.
You mentioned in one of your videos that a lawyer could come to the accident scene.
That's something you don't have to worry about in the States. Yes.
Well, maybe they do, but it's not as big of a
Well,
deal as it is here.
Well, I've never seen it on my insurance as something I'm paying for. Yes, because we have been told, especially as Americans, do not leave the scene of an accident until your lawyer shows up. Do not leave. Tell the police you're not leaving. Don't go anywhere. And because that's part of the insurance coverage, your lawyer is there to defend whatever your part of this accident was,
Or to get your bail set.
or to get your and bail is part of your insurance here.
This is what I've heard or read on Facebook, different people commenting, is when there's an accident, what tends to happen is the police show up and they will take one or both people to jail no matter what, and then let the system, the
Yes.
judge,
Yes.
figure out
Wow.
what's going
Yes.
on, and then hopefully it's quick, because
Yeah.
you could be for a couple hours, you could be for a couple days in the jail. So that's part of this thing the lawyer shows up to prevent that from happening, to have it. And I guess it's kind of like to show a guarantee of, yes, if there's fines, if I'm at fault, I have the ability to pay it.
Right. And I was also thinking for my own security to have a forward-facing camera and a rear-facing
Yes.
camera.
Yeah, a
as
lot of people
evidence.
talk that.
And it's made a difference for some people. There are some stories of people that, because they could show the video,
Yes.
especially for whatever reason, any motorcycle involved accident here, the motorcycle is the last person to ever be at fault.
Oh, yes.
And it
Because
doesn't
some other
matter-
times they're dead.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if
Wow.
they hit you, if they were going the wrong way, if they ran a red light. And right now, you drove through the Destiny Valley here where all the construction is, as an example. A lot of motorcycles don't want to come all the way down here and do a U-turn to come back on this periferico. So I'll be walking, going against traffic on this side of the road, but off the road. And I can't tell you how many motorcycles come from behind me passing, going the wrong
Mhm.
way. And pedestrians are not important to a lot of people here.
They don't have the right of way.
Yes.
They don't
They
move.
don't have the right of way.
Vehicles don't move out of your way
No.
very well.
No.
Even in this neighborhood, I've been walking with my dog, and there's plenty of street available. This is one of the wider streets in Quetzaltenango. Cars will still come really close to me right here in this neighborhood. It's like, you got a whole nother car width. Why don't you move over a little? But
Sadly, it's embedded in the culture, because I remember when I started driving here when I was 11 years
oh
old.
wow,
And I'm talking about 11 years old driving anywhere in my
Uh-huh.
hometown. But the culture here is, and you're taught this, that people, when it comes to pedestrians, you're taught they have to move out of the way. That's
So don't
sadly
walk,
that was the culture, and it hasn't changed a whole lot, because over here people don't have the right of way.
And
they should in theory, but they don't.
and that also
So-
explains why so many people will walk. If you can be waiting to turn and you'll have the right opportunity, and the person walks in front of your car instead of behind your car.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a frustration for sure.
Yeah.
I have seen more places where they put up signs that say, hey, pedestrians have the right of way. Like if
They're
they're in a
starting to,
crosswalk,
Really?
the pedestrian has the right of way if there's a crosswalk here.
Yeah,
Well, I
they're
noticed-
starting to do that in the city.
The
what I'm
city's the
saying,
biggest
yeah.
place I've seen it. Yeah.
What I'd like to come in here, I saw where the pedestrians didn't have to cross the street because they had their own.
Yep,
There
That's
are
the
a
bridge.
handful of
Yep.
those. You ran over one here,
across.
but most people don't want to walk down to
No.
that and go over. Just like if you're ever driving behind, I don't care if it's a transport bus or a microbus, it doesn't matter. They'll pick up somebody here, and 10 feet down, they'll stop again and pick up somebody here.
Mhm.
Instead of let's have a bus stop and everybody come to the bus stop and
Yeah,
stop
no.
one time. No, it doesn't happen.
I've seen them run across.
Yep, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
In right here by the Tucunaman Rotunda, the roundabout there's a huge sign. It's been there since we moved here. This is not a bus stop. The police stand right under that sign while the buses pull over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about this we talked about this a couple different times in videos, is the way they police things here is different than the USA. You know, they'll put up a sign or something, but the police aren't actively looking to ticket somebody who's breaking that law, you know,
Come over here.
speeding, driving on the wrong side of the, you know, they may yell at somebody or
Okay.
whatever. I have heard that sometimes they'll take down the license plate number and then they turn it in. Then when you go to
Pay your taxes.
renew your
The license
plate number, that's a yearly process, whatever.
Oh,
Then you got to pay the fines before you
The
get,
problem is, some of those people don't renew anything,
yeah.
and they just avoid the traffic stops.
ah.
You know, you know when there's a traffic stop coming up because the police are all lined up. They got the cones out. They got their truck over there.
Yes, we
Yeah.
passed a few.
And we've gone through them with no problem. You know, we
Well,
just show all
here's
our
another thing.
information.
Even when you stop there, do they kind of radio in or something? I'm not seeing like they have a bunch of computers like you would think in the USA. That every police car has a computer and they go and they can type in your
Oh, yes.
license plate number, your driver's license number, whatever, and boom, it comes back. Hey, you're wanted. Hey, you got unpaid
Oh, yeah.
fines. What? I don't know how that works here, but they pull people. I think it's
Sometimes
more
they
like
don't
an
even leave your
immediate.
car. I mean,
It's
sometimes you
immediate
stand
check
there.
of do
They
you.
also, excuse me, they also pull you over depending on the type of vehicle that you drive. Last time that we
Yes.
came here to Xela with Clinton, I had Clinton and my wife. We came here to visit, you know, friends, and we got pulled over. There was a police patrol near those Cuatro Caminos, and all of a sudden, I see the car coming up behind me, and he lit me up. So I pulled over, and they were very apprehensive, and I was driving a Tahoe, but the Tahoe that I was driving was armored. I had an armored. Yeah,
Ah.
my brother got me. A friend of his gave him the car, and that was the only car he had to give me that time. So I was driving the armored Tahoe. So we get pulled over, and um, they were like thought that we were narcos.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So once I, started, Clinton was sitting in the front of the passenger seat with me, and they asked me for my license. I showed them my license, my California license, because I know.
Mhm.
And then they asked for his papers, and then I had to speak to him in English. And then he started talking back, and then they saw my wife in the back, and they kind of relaxed. They still had my wife out. They searched my wife. They
Really?
searched her purse, and they looked in. But after that, they were just kind of going through the motions because they saw that we were tourists. Because first they said, "Where are you going?" I said, "No, I have a friend who's a local pastor." And it's like, "Oh, are you part of a mission?" I said, "No, we're just visiting." And and then I said, "We're just visiting," and that disarmed. They put two and two together, especially with Clinton, and they relaxed. But it was just going back to it's depending on the type of vehicle that you drive. It's like the pickup truck that I'm driving right now. I
Yeah,
wanted
you
to
got
get
a nice
another
big
car
Ram
because
truck. Yeah.
because big truck is like, oh, they're gonna think that I'm.
What you got?
And they were very low key, so I started joking around with them.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And the lady behind me.
Uh,
So they were very nice. It wasn't a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, you know what? Living here for now
7.5
seven and a half years. That's one thing. I've seen more Maseratis or high-end Porsches or Mercedes or something here, more Hummers than I've seen living in the United States, So there's a lot of people here with a lot of very nice cars in the USA. If you saw somebody, you're immediately assuming, depending on the area you're in, either a famous person
Yes.
or
a crook.
a crook,
Yeah.
a drug dealer, whatever. Here, I just see a lot. I
Especially
guess
down
I
in the
don't
city.
make that
There's a
same
lot down in the
assumption
city,
because
yeah.
I don't know why they would do it, but I've seen a couple times here in Xela, somebody with a very new Corvette, those Corvettes are like this high
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
very low riding. And I'm thinking, there's a number of Tumulos around here.
Or
Oh,
really
how would
bad
you get over
roads.
Oh yes, and then some of the tumulos are normal, but some of them are like
Yeah.
big walls. I mean,
Yes.
that you have to climb up.
Yeah.
For those of you that are listening, if you don't, a tumolo is a big speed bump.
Yeah.
And there's no warning.
No, not usually. Sometimes there's a sign, but not
Oh.
usually.
Yeah, sometimes there's a sign, sometimes
what
there's
you got
not
next?
a sign. So
Since you've lived here 7 years,
Yep.
have you traveled throughout Guatemala to see the country?
Not as much of it as we would like, but we just, this past year, you probably saw our video, we went to the Caribbean side. We went to a town just outside of Puerto Barrios with some private beaches and whatnot. That's one of the vacations that got cut short because I fell and broke my wrist.
Cool.
But we did go to a private beach by boat called Punta Montebique, where we did some snorkeling, and you had that lobster dinner on the beach.
it was very nice.
That was very nice. I wouldn't go there for any length of time because it's so stinking hot and
Like,
humid.
so hot.
It depends on the time of the year, or it's just
I think it's always hot and humid.
It's always
there.
hot.
Yeah, well, I would think, just like
It's
Queen-
you
Just
growing
like
up in
us, yeah.
Escuintla,
Yeah.
it's always in the 90s.
Always hot.
If you go from here to Champerico, I think it's always in the 90s.
Now,
Or higher.
Champerico is not as a touristy place, but it's the fastest route to the Pacific Ocean from here for
Yes,
us. It's like 2.5 hours.
You got number
But then we did 2 Christmas ago, went south to Monterrico, and we rented a place.
Yeah, that's a touristy.
Yeah, we went
place.
we stayed right on the beach, a place with a swimming pool and that whole bit. And it's like, and the only air conditioning was in the bedroom. So where did everybody stay? In their bedrooms. But it was nice. It was nice. It was nice to visit and see some. We have not been to Paytan, which we would love to see.
Yeah, I would like to go. We still
Tikal and
haven't
all
seen
that.
actual Mayan ruins. Like go to a site where there's big Mayan
You
ruins
showed
and
me
see them.
one on
Oh,
the first trip.
the closest that you have here
It's
in
Shimshi.
Huehue, Saculeo.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Saculeo and Huehuetenango is not that
It's
far.
just a couple hours.
Yeah, it's Saculeo.
Okay.
They're big, and Saculeo is the closest that you guys have.
We'll have to make it because
Peten is a must. Peten is a must.
we would
we're-
like to go, but it's just with
Well,
the dog,
and
it's
one of
hard
the
to
things
travel.
too,
Okay.
it's so long. For us to get to Peten or to
Flores.
no, what's the
Tikal?
name of the site? Tikal.
Yeah.
For us to get there, basically the best route is to drive all the way to Guatemala City and
And
then
then go
Guatemala
back
City
over.
all the way out there
Oh.
because the overland route is
You can-
So
There's
we're
no
going-
main road,
We're
right?
going this
Yeah.
weekend. We were planning on to go this weekend. Today is Thursday, so we were supposed to go leave on Sunday. But we found out that there's the road
They're doing
right.
some.
came down there. So something happened
Yeah.
to the road, so the lines can be, crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
3
read
4 hour
something, I
wait.
can't remember.
So, but the other way that you can go to Tikal is if you go to Guatemala City, and then you can fly to Tikal.
Yeah.
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 Now, you said you had an airport here.
yes.
Yeah, but it's on again, off again as far as who's flying in and out, and it's not international. And
But-
TAG used to come here locally, and now they're not again.
Yeah, let him finish his question
So, yeah.
before
Can
we.
you fly to Guatemala City?
It's expensive.
Okay.
I will say yes, you can. Like she was just kind of getting into though, there was a Guatemalan company service that had daily flights from here to the capital and back. They ran that service for about a year. They had it open for about a year and then they canceled it, I think because they just weren't getting consistent
Right.
business, as a friend of ours who is a pilot here, he said it's very hard to run this airplane unless you can fill the seats. And
Okay.
if they have a 12, 15 passenger thing, they're only getting 1 or 2 people. They're flying at a loss.
Right.
And he said, it makes sense. You can only do that for so often
Yeah.
in the hopes that the business
Yeah,
picks up,
takes
you know. And at points they had a thing where they went down to only a flight once a
One flight.
week or twice a week or something, and then they finally canceled. You could probably find somebody to fly you, but our friend who had a plane here at one time, he said it was over $400 in
Fuel.
airplane fuel, airplane
Wow.
gas, and to kind of amortize a little bit of the maintenance and stuff that's
Yeah.
involved in maintaining a plane, over $400 and some dollars. So
Yeah.
it'd be kind of pricey. Now that tag thing was $100 and
It
some
was
dollars,
between,
right?
depending on what flight you might have found. One, a few times I checked, it was anywhere from 80 to 130 one way, which is a lot for a half-hour flight, in my opinion, and
Oh, half
no
hour.
more
Well,
than no more than 30 pounds of luggage.
this is the good bargain of flying there is it's only about 30 minutes
Now,
instead of 4 hours in the car.
Right. Are they props planes?
Yeah, they're
they're all proper.
yeah, they're all
Okay.
because they're all smaller planes.
Yeah.
They pretty much have to be, yeah.
Even if I've seen like a government plane there or something, whether it's U.S. or Guatemalan or something else, they're all smaller aircraft or helicopter. The only thing I definitely saw U.S. was giving some aid, some supplies. This was during, I forget what happened, but too big. I mean, dual rotor
Helicopter.
Okay.
helicopters showed up here, and they were offloading cases of water, whatever they were bringing. I don't know, but all prop things. We've heard that they want to increase the length of this airport, and there's always talk about making it international. And because to my knowledge, they don't even really have like a radio,
They don't have
like a
lights
control
either,
tower.
so you don't have any.
Yeah,
can
so
come
there's
in
no
at night.
runway lights and stuff. Now they were working on installing them, but once again,
Political
as
money.
the government changes, the president changes, then the focus of where we want to spend our money changes. And so we were going to do this, it didn't get done, and the next administration says we're not going to continue with this. So
I guess they fly by sight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like we have an airport right down the street from me. It's Whiteman Airport. It's like it's a little regional airport. I mean, it's tiny.
Yeah, this one is tiny too.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we
Ordering products, U.S. Amazon.
have?
Here,
Yes and no.
yeah, let me answer a question.
Okay.
I guess I've been answering.
You
Here-
talk.
I'm going to say the exact equivalent of Amazon here is called Guatemala Digital. If you go to their website, when you pull up their pages, it looks like it's just a copy of an Amazon
It's like
page.
the identical description,
Yep.
everything about
Yeah,
it.
you can find this object on Guatemala Digital. You look it up on Amazon, the pages look identical, the pictures,
They even come in an Amazon box.
and they come in an Amazon.
Subsidiary.
So it's a I believe they're just a service that is ordering products for people here from Amazon and getting it delivered here.
I don't-
But it's going to cost you twice as much.
Well, this is part of their thing though. When you look at the price, it tends to be about double of what you could find for on Amazon, but that's including
All your
the
customs, all your
customs
taxes.
fees and the taxes and whatever they charge. There are some other services you can get. AeroPost is a big one here. In AeroPost, you can find products in the USA, whether it's Amazon or eBay or direct from a online
Right.
ordering, and you get it sent to their
Miami
address, and then from there they will send it here to Guatemala, and you go pick it up. The difference is you pay for the thing in the USA, and then you got to pay
the AeroPost fee.
Yeah.
approximately that
And
same
there's
amount
a whole
for
boatload
the.
of those services that you'll see recommended from people like on some of the Facebook pages. And AeroPost has turned out to actually be more expensive than some of the others after reading more of it. For me personally, if I can't find somebody to bring something down for me that I send to their house through Amazon, which a lot of people do, you get online, you ask, is anybody coming down?
Right.
If I can't find that, I will pay the extra for Guatemala Digital because it comes right to my door and everything's paid and I know the price and it's good.
Yeah, the last example of AeroPost, some friends of ours used it, and then he was saying, yeah, when I showed up at the office, they wanted, X quetzal, 100, 200, whatever quetzales for me to pick up the package.
And I never had that experience with them.
And yeah, so it must be the way they're doing things. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've used AeroPost a
Like 2 or
couple of
3
times.
And how
years
long
ago.
does it take to deliver?
We
From
got
when you
everything
order
within
somewhere
a week to 10
2 weeks.
days.
You
yeah.
know, Temu is big in the world maybe now. Well, there's Temu Guatemala, and I go on there and you find,
You just got to be careful what you buy.
I
off
will
Temu.
say,
Yeah.
inexpensive,
Yeah.
kind of basic quality products.
Yeah.
It's reasonably cheap.
Yep, most of it's
They
cheap.
show up, I'm going to say on average 2 to 3 weeks for Temu. Sometimes it says when you order it, this could be at your place in 3 days.
The fastest we ever got it was 10 days, and the longest I think it took was 3.5 weeks.
I do kind of wonder if they're trying to do something like is in the United States now. Almost everything on Amazon in the USA, if you live in a big enough city,
As a
is
warehouse.
same day or next day delivery.
Yes.
That's because they got
Yes, they do.
huge. Where I wonder if they're thinking about doing that for Temu here, and it maybe they don't have many products or it's not quite open.
Because in the U.S. where I live, I mean, I have one of the biggest Amazon storages.
Oh yeah,
It's
well,
like
you're in
half
LA.
a mile. I mean,
Yeah.
I get deliveries in 3 and 4 hours. You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. You know, that's something new from when we lived in the United States. It was, hey, next day is
was your fast.
pretty fast. Now they have
Yeah.
stuff same day delivery.
Yes, and
So to answer your question, online, you can buy things online. There's even Guatemalan services online. The girls order stuff from online Guatemalan stores that come from Cargo Express or Forizo or one of the local delivery services. I haven't used any of the local ones other than the Temu Guatemala that we've ordered some stuff from, but they exist. It's not impossible. Depending on what you're looking for is a big part of it. You know, what kinds of things are you looking for?
Something I'm seeing the more I'm here and getting around and just looking at things, you can find a lot of USA products. They're just not in every store, and there will be a little special store that is basically in some manner they're buying things in the USA and then bringing them here to sell them.
Okay.
So you can get some amount of things if you just look around in groceries, for example. The better that the Latores are getting to be here in Xela, in Quetzaltenango, where we live, the more of that kind of product you can get. Because when we were first here, a lot of this stuff, they tend to sell what the people are buying, which tends to be the
Guatemalan
traditional, the local,
Okay.
the Guatemalan. And so it can be kind of hard to find something that we consider normal in the United States. Peanut butter.
I think we couldn't
You
find
know.
horseradish.
Oh yeah,
Horseradish, extremely hard
And
to
what was the other thing?
Old Bay seasoning.
extremely hard to find here.
Yes.
I
But you
couldn't
can
find
find
steel-cut
Mahler
oats.
seasonings
For the
or
longest
whatever.
time, I couldn't find steel cut oats. I still don't find them here. I don't eat them anymore. so
Steel
those-
cut?
Steel cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they have them in the city. I can get them in the city, and they're usually, was it Redmond's or whatever the
Bob's Red Mill.
Bob's Red Mill. You know, I mean, so, but things start as you're growing, and as things are changing, more things are coming in. And when we first moved here, we were in San Marcos, small town, and I was trying to cook the way I cook in the States. Some of the things I cooked required special seasonings that just weren't to be found. You know, like garam masala to make a Indian dish was, you know, I think, but now I think I've seen it in the grocery store or one of the stores when we were in the city. I mean, I'm starting to see things starting to become more.
Well, you know, here's
Totally
another
popular.
thing too, is Guatemala, in my opinion, is a very international country,
Yeah.
at least now. And if you go to the city, you see people from
All
a
over.
multitude of
Yes,
nationalities, and
Yeah.
they're doing their thing. We ate at a nice little Turkish. They didn't have like a full menu, but they had some Turkish foods there.
Yeah.
And right here, there's an Indian restaurant in
If
Xela.
you have never been to Sabor de la India, you need to go if you like Indian food.
I don't know if I can handle the spice. They're
Not super spicy. Some of their
Because
stuff
I don't
is,
do
but
big spicy either, but some of their stuff's
you
really
know,
good.
those things, they require special
ingredients.
Yeah.
ingredients or whatever, so they're getting them here, so that stuff is becoming more available.
I saw in one of your videos, fluffy towels.
Oh yeah, bring your own
And,
fluffy towels unless you want to pay a lot.
Some kitchen appliances.
That They offer, you can buy almost, people are right, you can buy everything here. That is a correct statement. What do you want to buy here versus what would you like to bring down that you trust and you have of your own? I am glad I brought my Instant Pot. It probably was half the cost to buy the same thing here. I brought my own kitchen knives because, as a matter of fact, we just got done telling the girls again last night because my good chef's knife was out and it was washed but left to just dry in the air. And I said, who used my knife? You don't understand. Not only can I not find it here, you cannot afford to replace this knife.
Right.
You know,
I went through that.
You know, this is
Yeah.
I kind of describe it as this: the United States is the land of plenty, and Guatemala is the land of just enough.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy Coke here. There's 2, maybe 3 different kinds of Coke. Well, now they have cherry Coke fairly regularly at La Torre, and they have vanilla Coke on and off. In the United States, they have all those flavors
Yes.
in regular, in diet, in caffeine-free,
Yeah.
caffeine-free diet. You know,
Yeah.
it's the
Zero.
same for me. Tools. I like, you know, working on things, having tools. Can you get DeWalt tools here? Yes, you can. They're more expensive because it's all, you know, imported and whatever else. But if here they have 3 DeWalt drills you can get, in the United States, there might be 15 different DeWalt drills you can get. Saws, same thing. And, you know, I did a little video of getting tools here. There's some nice stores. They have a good selection of tools, but they have a portion. They have a this size portion where the company itself has a this size portion.
Yes.
You can't just walk to the store and
Because
buy
they have
it.
Ryobi here, they have Milwaukee.
They do not have Ryobi.
I thought we saw some Ryobi
in a Paca.
Oh, okay.
In a Paca, so
Which
a
is
used
the
store.
thrift stores.
Yes, the Pacas are the thrift secondhand stores.
Okay.
Exactly. And you can find some good deals there. But, you know, things like kitchen appliances, I probably am not going to buy secondhand, even in the States or here, it doesn't matter, especially if it's something I know I want. Now, we did buy our microwave here. We bought our stove and refrigerator here because I'm not going to haul that from the States.
Basically everything except the Instant Pot and the Ninja Blender.
The Ninja Blender.
We brought those 2 items here, and originally a coffee maker we brought with us. You can buy all that stuff. I see Instant Pot at Price Mart now. They had an Instant Pot there.
Yeah, I did a Price Mart. Yeah, I did a little video to show the prices, and I still have to do the breakdown to see how much.
And
the
Price
Ninja, wow, it was the highest price there.
Well, and you can find them here. And when we first got here, I didn't see them here, but I'm seeing them more and more. But once again, they're almost twice the cost. You know, so what's the value of you to bring something versus just to pay a little extra and buy something?
Right.
You know, especially I see people all the time asking, I want to bring down a shipping container. And it's going to cost me $10,000. I would not have paid $10,000 to ship anything down here, I don't think.
One thing that we
You
do
know?
with my wife, we send some stuff to Guatemala. One, you know, other than when we travel and we bring whatever we can in our luggage, there's a bunch of services in the U.S. that bring boxes.
Yeah,
We
and you can do a
usually-
shared.
Yeah, we
yes.
usually bring like a 30 by 30, and we brought. I sent 2 electrical bicycles, 2 e-bikes, and a lot of, you know, blenders, air dryers, and I was telling them, we fill up the box. You pay $300, and it's not going to be here in 5 days. It's going to take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on how long it takes at customs, to get it out. But that's another way that, you know.
I mean, there's a lot of options, and some of it depends. It's a personal choice, personal decisions. I didn't bring down my dishes and silverware, you know, but I brought my knives. You know, there's just little things. But we had been down here enough, especially where we used to visit the orphanage, and I saw how they treat good knives, or any knives, not just good ones. You need a screwdriver or something to pry something open, or every sharp knife in the drawer. The tip was broke off. Every single one of them.
I was a chef for 27 years, and I brought my chef tools here a few years ago, and I brought my chef knives, which you know how we cherish our knives.
Yes.
And one day, we went out, and when I came back, uh, somebody was cooking dinner, and they were trying to open a can of sauce.
Yes,
And
exactly.
they
Got
didn't.
your
And they
knife.
had my
Oh.
knife with a hammer, and they were
Oh,
like
God.
opening with it up, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh
my
my
God.
God!" But it's I mean,
There's one thing about living here, my impression of a number of people is, first of all, they don't have necessarily the top quality things in a lot of items. So we'll just use these chef knives or whatever. So they have a decent brand here, but you buy them all day long for 30, 40, 50, 70 Q or something. So that's under $10 for a decent knife. Well, talking chef knives, hundreds of dollars in the United
For
States.
a
Yes.
knife.
Yes.
Yeah,
for a knife.
for
For a
one
knife.
knife,
yeah.
and even kind of, I think the best knives here, unless I haven't been looking, I'm assuming someplace there's a store that sells premium quality imported knives here. I haven't found it yet, but I can't imagine the price.
Yeah.
Definitely hundreds of dollars.
Hundreds of dollars.
And so, anyways, people have these things that can be fairly easily replaced for not all that much money. So, hey, I'll just use this as a tool
Yes.
instead of
Yeah.
as a specific,
Yeah.
quality knife.
Same with the Teflon pans.
Cookware, yup.
Yeah, cookware. I mean, people see the Teflon. They say, oh, they sell
They use a fork inside of it.
A fork inside it to scramble your eggs. Oh
Yeah.
my lord!
Yep.
All my pans are stainless steel. So
Is-
okay,
Is there we have USSP?
they just reopened. I haven't tried it yet.
No, but I mean, it's like a regular post office for your mail. I mean,
Well, like I said, they just reopened this past year, like 6 months
When
ago.
we were first starting to visit here, now we're talking 15 or 20 years ago, we sent some stuff
And it
to
got
people, and it got to them. And I don't think it was a crazy time, but I guess shortly after then,
They
kind of stopped the mail service.
There was no mail service for a while at all.
And then just last year
Just
or
this last
something,
year, about 6,
they
7 months ago.
reopened it, but still, it's not a big
You're not going to
thing
see the
like
mailman walking house to house
No.
to deliver anything.
Even though a lot of places they have a mailbox and stuff
Yeah.
or a mail slot, but evidently that service kind of
something might get
went
to,
by the wayside.
For years,
post
the way
office?
the way that it worked for years when I was living here, it's like you went to the there was like a major town like Quetzaltenango. They would send the mail here, and then you will go to the post office
And you pick
here,
it up.
and then you
When it does-
and then you will go. Let's say that there was mail for you guys when you lived in San Marcos. So then you will pick up, oh, Brian, and then, okay, so I will pick up your mail. I will pick up Clinton's mail who lived in another town and so on, and for different people.
Right.
So I will go and deliver the mail to you, and then you will give me like 25 cents, 50 cents. Like, oh, back then, like letters were 25 cents, telegrams were 50 cents. Because even telegrams, people did that. They went to the major post offices, they picked up the mail, and they went to different towns and little villages, and they delivered the mail themselves, but you paid them.
right.
That's the way that it worked here
Normal
for
mail
years.
service, the way you know it in the States, is not here.
Okay.
And even if the Correo, not Electronico, the Correo is open down in Central Park area, which the building is open now, you would have to go there and to send something, and probably even to find out if your mail had arrived. I don't know that anybody's going to bring it to your door. I have not heard that at all. So,
No
Yeah.
bills coming to the house. Sounds good.
What's that?
No bills coming to the house.
Yeah, you don't get
you
all
can
the
say,
junk
I
mail.
never got it.
You don't get any junk mail
No
here.
jury duty. Wow.
Actually, because we do keep an address in the States. And I did get a jury summons the first year we lived here in Xela. And I just called them and said, I'm out of the country. I live most of the time out of the country. And they just waived it, so it wasn't a problem. I didn't have any, nobody said, no, you gotta get here or anything like that.
Yeah, we,
so.
just for some things that makes it easier for us to do some amount of personal transaction, whatever, we keep a US address.
And a US bank account. I keep a US bank
Uh-huh.
account.
That's what the question. What's the best way to avoid the ATM fees?
Okay, there's a couple of ways, and I don't know that it's better, I mean, it's less fees total, but if you don't have a bank account here, let's start there.
Okay.
You just have a bank in the States. There you can, I just for the first time used it, and the first time you set it up, it takes a little longer, but after that, it's just hours. You can MoneyGram money from your account in the States to a bank for you to go pick up in person. Now, when we first moved here, we were doing that with Zoom, and I was picking up cash in person at like Ban Rural Bank or wherever, because at the time, for whatever reason, it wasn't going into our account, because I had opened already an account, a bank account. So I had an
Well, I
account.
think just the way the
The way the
service
service worked. But I would just go
operated.
pick it up in person. So you can send cash to yourself. MoneyGram costs you $1.99. It has per transaction up to however many, couple $1,000s. And it gives you current day exchange rate. So you're not losing out. I got 7.6 on this MoneyGram transfer I did, which is the current exchange rate. And that's really easy, and you don't have to have an account here to do it. If you have an account here, which we do,
Can
I had
you?
it sent into my account.
I'm sorry. Can you get a bank account here, like in Clinton, get a bank account here, and how easy is it, or hard?
It changes all the time. When we first moved here, before we lived here, I came down for 1 week. I opened a bank account, but I had a friend who had a business account at GET and had a relationship.
And he's a Ford.
And
right?
he's also a U.S.
He's
citizen.
a
He was
U.S. citizen with permanent residency, and
But we went in, and with just my passport, we opened a bank account
I
here.
thought they also had
And I had
didn't you say-
two letters
Yeah.
from Guatemalans.
Tanya and this
and
guy's wife,
Belen.
who's a
Two
Guatemalteca.
Guatemalans that wrote me letters of recommendation.
Okay.
Now, I have heard others say they can still do that, and other people say they couldn't. The other thing that's interesting is some people, open it at GET, open it at BI, open it at Ban Rural. Well, what I have discovered is it isn't even the bank, it's the branch. Is not necessarily that I went to a GET, it's just that branch opened the account for me. A different GET might not have.
It's depending on the branch.
Depending on the branch.
Wow.
Well,
And the relationship that either you or somebody you know may have developed with that bank is going to make a difference.
I'm even going to add one more thing in the mix, depending on how good your Spanish is, because you might go to some place with a basic level of Spanish and think you're being told no, and really you're being told we need more documents. You need to go and get this done. So there's a couple of different scenarios that could be. It could be how good you understand.
Yes, take your
Yep, it could be how good you understand, or it could be how good they are at getting something done for you. You know, they may not personally know how to do it, so they say, we can't do it here. And then you go to the other GET bank in the next town over or something, and they're like, yeah, give me this. Hey, where's your passport? Where's this, that?
And
they
that is
do
very
it.
common. I went to a Price Mart a couple of days ago, and it's just different than a bank, but the concept is the same. I asked for lemon juice, in a bottle, and I asked one lady, and she asked somebody else, and she goes, "Hey, do we have lemon juice?" She goes, "No, we don't have that." I'm like, "Okay, so they don't have that." So I just kept walking.
You
And
then
then
you find it.
I found it.
Exactly.
And it's same in the bank. I mean, they say,
Yep.
"Oh, we don't do that," and they just don't know.
I was going to bring up that exact scenario because it happens a lot of times at the grocery store. You go and ask, I'm looking for this. You go and ask, no, we don't have it. And then as you're walking through, you happen to find it. It's like,
Yeah, and I was talking about the distilled water I need.
Oh yeah, he got it. The automotive distilled water. This
Okay.
is
Yes.
still distilled water.
Yes.
I was going to tell you the other thing about money transfers. Once you get a bank account, another thing you can do if you're just trying to avoid all fees
Yes.
is if you keep an account in the States, once a month, write a check to yourself to deposit into your bank, but you have to do it a month in advance because it takes almost a month for a US check to clear, or it has in the past. But we know, I did it one time, but I have a friend that I think Betty said she does that. She writes her check the first of the month, and then at the end of the month, now she has her money. And there's no bank fees because she's just depositing a check.
Yep. So that is one way to do it, and we considered that when we first moved. I mean, we tried a number of different ways to move our money down here to live. And one thing I will say, every so often there becomes a new way to transfer money, and it may be cheaper or quicker or whatever. So that kind of thing can be in flux. We still
Primarily, we still use
Wells
Fargo,
Fargo. We had
Express.
learned this, that Wells Fargo had some kind of relationship with GET Bank
No,
here
there's
or
no
something.
relationship. They just do an express send transaction.
Wow.
Well, whatever. So they could do this transaction, and it costs us what,
$4.99 or $5, up to like $5,000 a month. And then the other big one, a lot of people say, is Charles Schwab.
Yeah,
If you have a Charles Schwab account.
but that is more along the lines of ATM, right?
Yeah,
they
they return
refund
ATM
all
fees.
ATM fees.
Okay.
So you go to whatever ATM here, and whatever your fees are, however that's done in your account or whatever, they refund you that money. I don't know, do you have to ask for that?
I will tell you this too. I know I don't know how much longer you're in country, and if it's too late. A lot of people don't realize it, and I had to help some Europeans when we were in Pana one time. The yellow machines, 5B, Cinco Bay, they call them. The first screen asks you, do you want to accept our exchange rate? And it's the bank's rate. And most people are afraid to say no because they think they won't get their transaction. The key is you say no, because that bank fee, the Guatemalan bank exchange rate, is horrible. It's like barely 6% sometimes, or 6 something, when really you should be getting 7 some in exchange rate. And so I told him, so I helped him through. I said, no, hit no. And they hit no. And then the next screen comes up. It says, okay, we're going to use your bank's transaction fee, which normally, like the US bank says, 7.6 is the transaction. That's what you get it at. And
that's a very, very good point for your viewers.
yeah,
Anybody or anybody else watching. We just did the same thing with
Yes.
the yellow
Yep.
ATM.
Yes.
That's why he started asking that question.
I was upset.
because I saw that the exchange was, and he told me, but I didn't want him to be that upset. I said, you know what, just go with the flow for now. It's already done. You already got the cash out. The fee was extremely high,
yep.
and the exchange rate didn't
It's
help.
extremely low.
I didn't
Yes.
even know that, because I didn't even know that you have to say
no on the first
on
screen.
the first screen.
Yep.
And see, that's just something like a local, or you have experienced it. But that.
I really, I hate paying for my money.
I found that out by accident because I didn't want to get such a low exchange
Right.
rate, so I just hit no. I
Yeah,
said,
I'm not gonna do it.
I'll go get money somewhere. I'll go write myself a check,
and
whatever.
it still gave you money.
And no, I hit no, and that's when the second screen came
Yeah,
up.
and it still gave you money,
And I
right?
still-
It
and I was-
wasn't no, cancel the
It
transaction.
did, yeah.
It's
It's
no.
just, okay, now here's
Like,
your.
normally you press no, that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
So that's how I found out. It was complete accident.
But it's great that you brought. Thank you for bringing it
Yes,
up, because
yes.
I need to get some cash, and I'm gonna.
There's one other thing as far as doing things financially here. One is we have USA credit cards, and we have a Visa
And American Express.
and an American Express, and at one time we had a MasterCard too. I will say Visa is king here as far as credit cards. Just about any place that accepts a credit card takes Visa. And then MasterCard would be secondary because it tends to be Visa and MasterCard. American Express works here, but not every place. But when you're saying that, when you travel here or when you're even living here with your credit card, be sure you get credit cards that don't have foreign transaction fee. Because we did get a MasterCard one time.
And the very first thing I charged, the first when I saw the statement.
It's like, okay, here's the amount, $10, and then there's $1, $2 charge. It's like, what's this charge? And then every time we used it for 4 or 5 times. It's like it's charging extra. Then it comes to find out it's one of these that has a foreign transaction
So
fee.
you have to contact them, find out.
No, they just canceled the card.
No, I mean, you have to, when you apply for the card, you have to call them. and
Yeah,
ask
well,
them.
while you look, it'll be in the fine print or whatever,
say
whether they
transaction.
charge this for, or just ask somebody, you know,
Is
hey,
it-
I
are there
want this
foreign
card.
fees?
You charge foreign transaction fees,
Right.
and they say yes or no,
Yeah.
and then fine, I won't get that card. I'll get this other
Right.
bank's MasterCard or Visa or whatever. But to me, there's so many places that accept credit cards
Even
now.
the tourist little tiendas in Pana, they're selling the knickknacks, are
Yeah.
accepting credit. They have their
Yeah,
machines.
they have their little tiny
Yeah, I've seen.
yellow
it was
or
called
red
a
machine.
square or something you
Yeah,
attach and
yeah.
you slide.
I saw a
That's
lady.
one of them,
I saw a
yeah.
lady in Guatemala City selling pan, and another one was selling tortillas
On the road.
with a big canasto
Yep.
on the road. And somebody comes and said, "Hey, I don't have any cash." And she's like, "I'll take a card."
Yep.
And she took a card.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody selling tortillas.
Wow.
It's
Now,
happening all over the place.
Once you're living here and once you have a bank account here, a very common way to do with financial transaction purchases without carrying cash on you is a bank transfer.
Transfers are
Almost
huge
everybody
here.
accepts, bank
You
transfer.
know, in the
where,
United States, when somebody asks you for your bank account number, you're going to say, "I'm not giving you my number."
Right.
yeah,
Here, that's the best way to get. I send things to people because they gave me their bank account
and
number.
it's because this account number that you use for that doesn't give direct access to you use that number to initiate a transfer to somebody else's
But they can't.
account, but
Do
they
anything
can't.
else.
Oh,
Once
okay.
they know they can't go in and try and get.
Oh, good.
And part of it is it's this 2-step thing we get where when you try and log in, it gives a message that you have to answer on your phone
Yeah,
to say
I have-
okay.
With a code sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some kind of code or something.
I noticed that here that the bank transfer,
That's
that they
huge.
use that.
That's
here.
how we pay
Yep.
our rent. And the other thing I can do here with the one bank, the girls, when I send them their grocery money or money for school or something, like she doesn't have a bank account here, but she needs cash for something. I can send it to a bank machine, in this case, the BI, the blue ones.
Mhm.
Say, send her 400Q for her weekend down in the city.
And it gives her a
And
code.
she gets a code. She goes to the ATM and enters she doesn't have a card. She just goes and enters
Really?
the code, and I've just sent her 400Q.
Oh, without a
And
card.
there's
And-
no extra
Wow.
fees. I don't pay bank fees for it. She doesn't pay fees to get it. And she just goes and gets the queue, and then she has it because starting in February, she starts her last year. She goes to the city every weekend for her university classes. So I give her 400Q, covers her rent and food and all that for the city. And
Yeah, so it's just
It's
another nice way that we're not used to in the United States because
No.
they don't.
Nobody gives them.
to-
Somebody asks you for
Yeah.
a bank account. That's the
No,
last
yeah.
thing we're going to give.
Yeah.
But here, I mean, people we have a friend whose daughter makes homemade sourdough bread. And it's like, oh, I don't have any cash on me. Can I do a transfer? And she gives me her bank. Yeah, it's this bank and this is the number. And I just enter it in and I do the transfer. And then she's got it in her account. Boom, it's paid
It's
for.
kind of using
No,
Zelle
like
in the
Zelle.
States.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Zelle
Very
in the
much
States.
like
Exactly.
Zelle.
It's
So over
very-
there it's Zelle or Venmo or
Well, that's how his mom sends money to help support these guys. It's to Zelle. So.
So one question. Oh yeah, with your pensionata, no, you have a small pension. How do you get it from there to a U.S. company here?
Well, it's direct deposited
To our U.S. account.
from
Oh,
our
that's
U
right.
to our U.S.
That's
bank
right.
account, and then we send it to the Wells Fargo account, and then it gets transferred to our GET account or GYT account here.
Now, same thing. Some people have their Social Security sent to their bank here, which Social Security will send to a foreign bank. I still have mine, and I set his up because his starts in April. Goes into our U.S. bank because if I don't need all the money, I'm not going to send that. I keep only enough money down here.
For us to live
to
off.
live off.
Plus, like we said, our credit cards that we use here are U.S. based credit cards. It'd be a little more difficult to have all our money here and then trying to
trying to
pay
pay them over there.
because my impression is it's a little harder to send money from Guatemala to the United States.
It is.
It's easy to send
Yes.
money from the
Yes.
States to Guatemala.
The bank's probably not federally insured.
Well, we have a friend that told us here a long time when we first moved down into this house. But John Bachelor said they keep 2 different banks in case one bank decides they're going to hold funds or something. That would be Missy. I don't know what she's looking at. So we have the account that I have set up to help pay for the girls is not in the same bank as our personal account, and that way there's 2 different ways if I ever need to access.
Here's one thing I want to add. So I've heard it from both foreigners who live here and Guatemalan citizens that the bank may decide to freeze your account for whatever reason. We have never had an issue with that.
Yeah.
So we can't say exactly one thing or another, but it's
How
just
long do you
kind
think
of
we've been talking?
hearsay.
Sorry, this is gonna be a long video for those of you.
Just a few days.
Well, some amount of editing out of.
You know,
Chopping things.
I'll just put a warning on the beginning. Could be long. Skip forward if you want to.
I wish you could edit my coughing.
I don't know if I'm able to do that.
And I see you have an eco filter.
Yep.
Yes,
How do you like that?
I love
I
it.
love it.
I like the taste of the water. Number 1. Number 2, we do buy the garrafones.
Yeah, we have
also,
both
but
manners of water here. We buy bottles of water.
How long have you been here in Guatemala?
7.5 years.
You're more Guatemalan than I am. And there's one thing that makes you a Guatemalan through and through.
What's that?
That cover on the water garrafon.
I made that just because when you buy that thing, it comes with a bunch of safety instructions to be sure you're getting good purified water. And one was like every day clean the outside and this and that. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
So that
Let me just put a cover on it to kind of keep the dust off or
Right.
whatever.
that makes you a fully fledged Guatemalan.
I feel good about that because if you buy it, if you go to like a Samaco or
Yeah,
somewhere they're
yeah.
selling them,
Uh-huh.
they have a filter cut in half and they talk about the technology. It's not just running through some kind of paper filter or
Right.
something.
It's a full,
It's,
got clay and silver,
Yeah, it
colloidal
has
or whatever it's called.
colloidal silver,
Yeah.
which kills bacterias or whatnot. Not
Would you like a
100%,
glass of water?
but
I'm
Well,
fine, thank you.
And that's what I was also. My first time here, I knew don't drink the water. That's all I knew.
Right.
And I didn't know about don't eat too many mangoes. So I was
Or
eating-
salads washed in
I
regular
was
water.
eating
Or
mangoes.
ice
Oh
from
my god!
anywhere.
you gotta be careful.
so what was
So-
the problem with mangoes? You think they were washing them and
Well, I don't know, but
You were just going through
I
it.
had to go to the bathroom. And so when I got back to the States, I did some research and I bought this product called Floristar. It's made to help travelers. I take the pill before eating. And so I was taking it the second time, no problem, 0.
and you still ate 10,000 mangoes or whatever.
No, because it wasn't mango season. Or
We
something.
were in this. The answer is easy. We were in a Escuintla. We were at Liking, and he discovered that there's a lot of mango trees. And when we drove in, he saw all this carpet of mangoes on the ground. He went and picked up a few. The next day, he came up with a bag full of mangoes. The next day, bigger bag. And he was
I
sitting.
like mango.
I would assume this, if you're not used to anything, any fruit especially,
That much.
if you're not used to eating that much, you eat a
Yes.
bunch of it, it's going to kind of flush your system
Yeah.
out. Let's say.
Yeah.
I will share with you this as far as stomach issues, because when we lived in San Marcos, I did spend a night in the hospital due to eating some bad food, possibly at this one little restaurant that we thought we were Guatemalan, and we just ate this little place, you know, kind of on the street. I don't know for sure that's what it is, but that was my suspicion. Ever since, I have been taking a probiotic almost every single day, and
That's
I
what this
still
is.
do.
This is a probiotic.
And I'm not going to stop. because I haven't had that kind of sickness since. And whether it's the probiotic or not, I don't care. I'm going to take
Oh, I
it.
had no stomach cramps. I just had to go to the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
Oh no,
So I was lucky that point.
I told him I thought my appendix burst.
Ooh.
Oh.
I was in such pain,
Wow.
and I don't
Oh.
go to the doctor or hospital easily. But I told him, I said, "You got to take me to the hospital." I said, "This is bad," and I
Wow.
thought for sure that was it. And they put me, you know, I have a little private hospital in San Marcos, a tiny little town, really, in the department of San Marcos, and I just, you know, stayed the night. And he said it's not an appendix, and they put me on antibiotics on IV for the night and sent me home the next day with antibiotics. And you know what, 3,000 Q later for everything, you can't beat that.
No. A couple of questions that probably he forgot to ask. One of them, like you mentioned, the insurance for the cars. Can you own a car here in Guatemala, or you have to put it on somebody else's name?
Yes, no, we own our
Oh,
own.
you
When we moved here, even before we had our residency, our car was transferred
We imported it.
in our name. It was made a Guatemalan legal vehicle.
We got a Guatemalan title and
And
everything.
we had that. So I'm going to say no, there's no restriction in
You just
that
have to
way.
get a NIT, a NEAT.
Anita?
Once you have your NEAT, then you do not have to be a resident to get a NEAT. You get that so that you can buy things, because there's plenty of non-residents here that own property
Yeah.
and own cars, and they have to have a NEAT for that. And that's
that was the
basically a
other-
tax number for you.
That was the other thing, that like if you can buy
Mhm.
a house.
Yep. Yep, you can buy property.
We
a
know
house.
people who have bought, whether it's properties. We bought a car. We've bought
3 cars.
3 cars since we've lived here, and
Wow.
we have
That's the first
Since,
brand new one.
Okay.
we've bought 3 cars. We've sold 3 cars here, and so that's not necessarily an issue. We've heard of people who buy properties. We have not personally done that, and we don't think we're ever going to
Yeah,
buy.
we're happy just
Because
yeah,
Why take a boatload of our money and tie it up in
Yeah,
property
it's not
a good
here
idea.
when we
yeah,
potentially are going to be traveling and whatnot, you know? So,
yeah, and then you can move around
Yeah.
if
Right.
you want.
you know, maybe if we came here when we were in our 30s or
It would be
40s, and
different, right.
it'd be different. But we also know people in their 60s that come down here and they buy a house, and
Yeah, and another thing is, if you're retired, but are there opportunities to work part time if you feel bored?
Not,
or like online, of course. There's always that.
that's about legally, without a visa for working.
Mhm.
That is your only opportunity, is online or as a nomad or from another, you know, to legally get a job here. On our visa, we cannot. As a
Yeah.
rentista, our visa does not allow for work in Guatemala
Mhm.
with a Guatemalan company.
Okay.
So if that's something you want to consider, look at your visa options. That's where you need to talk to the lawyer. I don't have all the correct answers.
I would assume, I've heard this, I'll say, is they will give a foreigner a work visa here, Guatemala will, but it has to be something that a Guatemalan couldn't do. You know, they need a pretty special talent. And I've heard there's some amount of doctors that can come here and get
Oh
a
yeah.
visa to work as a doctor here.
Specialty.
Yeah.
Or there's things like Betty's ex-husband, he's American, but he works in the city in a call center, but he's got perfect English, obviously, he's
Yeah,
an
of course,
American.
yes.
So
I don't know how that works
somehow
exactly.
he got a visa, or they helped him get a visa.
Or they, you know, granted, could you find somebody who's going to pay you in some manner to work for
Right.
them?
I'm sure you could.
Yes.
Yeah. Or maybe even applying for a company in the U.S.
Now,
and working from home.
Right.
I
And
do
getting
know
paid in
that
the
here
US.
there's a number of people who come here and they're working for they work for a U.S. company, but they're on the ground here in Guatemala doing whatever this job is.
Right.
You know, they're working for a NGO or whatever, I guess is or was a common thing. There's people who come here to work at some schools
As
as
teachers.
teachers, And this is especially a school wants to teach in English, so you could get that kind of job. And depending on the school, depends on the certification you may need. Some, they want an actual certified teacher,
Right.
and some, they really looking for somebody who can present material in native English.
And they have a way around the way they pay so that you can receive payment.
Yeah, however they classify it, that you're receiving money from them, it makes it so it's illegal
Like here in Xela, there's a school called the Inter-American School. And the people that come down, some of them are only here for the year, so they're just on their tourist visa or whatever, and they're able to work there. And it's like money is being donated back to them for their time and effort, kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Something like
I don't know
have
the
the
ins and
exact-
outs of it
yeah.
or something, but they've been doing it for who knows how many years. And my understanding is there's multiple schools in Guatemala in general. I don't know about
So
Xela.
really quick, any more questions on your list?
I'm trying to learn as much Spanish as I can in Estados Unidos. But does Xela have a school?
There's so many.
Multiple schools and multiple private teachers.
Okay.
My teacher that we moved here, we found a Spanish school in Xela,
Right.
and we came and I was assigned a teacher. We were there for a month, so I had the same teacher, the same lady
Every
for a
day
whole month.
yeah.
We became kind of like friends or whatever. I still know her. I'm not still taking lessons, but I still know her. We still talk on occasion, and sometimes we visit her house or she visits us just to chit chat. But she's now a
Independent.
private or
Yeah.
independent.
Oh, okay.
So she does online lessons. She'll come to your house and do
I would
private lessons.
highly recommend her. But I mean, if you want a more formal thing, there's a number of actual Spanish schools here.
And how much does it cost to learn Spanish?
I think
I think it varies by how you do it.
And
but I don't know.
I don't know because we haven't paid for Spanish lessons for, I'm going to say, 5 years now.
Yeah.
When I was paying her, what was I paying her? Like 100 Q a week for her to show up at my house for 2 hours,
I mean,
Wow, that's
2 or 3 times a week.
wow.
Now the price has gone up
Yeah.
since that point.
I think
I-
she's charging like 50 Q an hour.
I thought she
online,
had said
something
that,
like
that 40, 50
But that's
Q an hour.
$7 an hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you know.
Yeah.
There's some other, there's a very, I'll say professional school here called the
Atitlán?
Europeo
Oh,
or something.
Europeo, yeah.
They
that's
teach
expensive.
multiple languages. They teach English, they teach Spanish, they teach
Italian
French,
and French.
Italian, maybe German or something like that. I think that price is probably a little bit more, but
Yeah.
I mean, a professional classroom setting, maybe some amount of materials that you're getting provided where, my Spanish teacher, she has her own materials
Right.
that she will let you look at during the lesson, or you
Make
write down the
copies
notes
or-
or whatever. So maybe a little bit less for that kind of situation.
So you can
And
start in the States if you want.
If you
Well,
were
I want to
interested,
get as much in the States to prepare.
Mhm.
That includes the language.
well,
I highly recommend like somebody like his teacher doing online lessons with you while you're in the States over going to school in the States.
I would look for a card or something.
Oh yes, so he can
But see-
start. That's a
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
idea.
because
online,
a lot of her stuff
Yeah.
is online.
Teacher.
Some of her consistent big students, one is or was a girl in Holland. Another is a guy in the United States someplace. So she very
I will send you her
proficient in
contact
that kind of
information.
online.
Yeah, I'll
that is a great idea that you can
I've
start
been looking
online
for a
because you
Guatemalan
can
teacher.
video chat with her and
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
pay
you
her
can,
here.
and there's ways that you can just send her the payment.
Yeah, she
you know,
uses whatever
she uses
Zoom or
Zoom or
Zelle
Yeah, she'll
or
tell me.
whatever the thing.
Yep.
I think she has 3, 4, 5 different methods that she's
So-
comfortable with.
because she's used to getting payments from people out of country. So she'll
Okay.
be able to help you with that too.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
And the beauty of it is when you come here, you've already got this kind of
Yes.
Base.
relationship, and then it just transitions to either you guys meet someplace,
Right.
a coffee shop or something for lessons, or she comes to your place.
And that'll be from my experience speaking English and Spanish. That'll be the best way because most of the time, especially in the US, when you learn Spanish, depending on where you live, like in California, you're exposed to Mexican Spanish, which, as you know, is not the same
There are
as
some
Guatemalan
words you're not
Spanish.
supposed to use.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're it's different than Central American Spanish, and if when you learn, a lot of people who learn Spanish in the U.S., if you're on the West Coast, you learn the Mexican Spanish. If you're kind of on the East Coast, you learn the
Learn
Caribbean.
Spain.
Yeah,
Or the
yeah,
Spain
no, but
Spanish.
yeah, Spain, yeah,
Well, that's school,
Oh,
right? And,
yeah.
and because that's what I learned when I was in high school and junior high. They taught Spain Spanish.
Oh.
You know, that was the textbooks and everything.
That's like learning
Yeah,
British English.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same.
Right.
And we've experienced this to some extent. Like you're saying, the Mexican Spanish, sometimes it's not maybe the pronunciation that much, but it's words.
Words.
I have
Right.
a different meaning. Just like you can find the same thing in the United States. If you're over in Florida, they use a word consistently for this, and maybe there's a different word
Because that's
on the
Caribbean,
West Coast.
Cuban, Colombian, if you will, Dominican, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, which is completely. I've been to Cuba, and that
Well,
Spanish is hard
we-
to understand.
Well, it's
We
like
met-
pop and soda.
Yeah.
Yep. We
Yeah.
met somebody from Argentina, a couple different people
Oh,
from
yeah.
Argentina who were here. In the pronunciation is just
Como te
Yes.
llamas? Or how are
¿Cómo
Yeah.
te llamas?
Como
Yeah.
te llamas,
Yeah,
exactly.
that was a, yeah.
Yep, the
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
L is a SH
Yeah.
sound there a little bit.
And the one thing in like Mexican Spanish and Guatemalan Spanish, the word tú, and the word vos.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's a huge difference, and it changes the rest of the sentences because in Mexicans would say "tú tienes," ask it. In Guatemalans, "vos tenés." It's a different story.
Oh, and
Yep.
the other
And,
thing,
and in this case, you guys had a great idea. In this case, learning from somebody like
Yes.
you're learning from somebody who's gonna teach you Spanish that is spoken here in Guatemala, where you're
and
planning
it's a
on
lot less formal here.
Yes.
Everybody uses to almost immediately versus usted,
See,
and that is not.
I don't know that I would say that. I use two for just because everybody, you know, two is like the informal, my friend. Just about everybody is
Yeah.
two to me,
Yeah, but I hear it
Either
from the
somebody
average
younger
person more often.
or a good friend.
I hear it from the average person more often than I do usted versus.
I still
How
got
is it
people
more
that I
formal?
think are my friends here who still they will say usted when they're talking with me. It's a respect thing.
Yeah,
You know,
to
so
me,
Mine's just a mistake
Uh-huh.
thing. Mine's
To
a
me,
bad
like, to
Spanish
me-
thing.
for me, when I come to Guatemala, like I would never use a tú with a lot of people. I use either vos or usted.
I have never heard people use vos here.
the girls use it sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't pay
Not
attention
talking
to
to
Oh, yeah.
us, but talking
Yeah, no,
to their
but that's
friends.
that's exactly that. But talking here in Guatemala to Guatemalans, when we were growing up, you would never. I would never ever tell another man tú. That was something that girls will call each other like tú or something.
I
Yeah,
didn't know
because the word tú wasn't like the word tú. You know the meaning of the word burgués?
No.
Okay, burgués is like somebody who's rich and their kids, the way that they act.
Okay.
That's a slang. Burgués, they're
It's like
burgueses. Yeah.
Bourgeois.
Yeah, bourgeois.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Bourgeois.
Exactly. So that'll be just people using that kind of language. The tú, you know, they were treating each other like tú. Other than that, Guatemalans were vos. Yeah.
Okay.
And
I'm
vos
gonna,
is
I'm
if
gonna
it's very,
interrupt briefly. I'm gonna say sign off because I know this is a long video for those of you that have stayed to the end.
Sorry.
We hope that you get some questions answered and enjoyed a little bit of.
I hope this has been recording all this.
Me too. I hope my battery's not
Oh.
dead.